Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. We've just watched a beautiful, beautiful video clips, if you may, beautiful song, Moments of Weakness, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure somebody watching up there have been uplifted to know, even though you are down, you can still rise up and walk. Because after all, it was just a moment. In this last segment of our interview with Dorcas Mwangi, who is a true Pan-Africanist, somebody who goes beyond ethnicity, somebody who values life. I would like to ask you, Dorcas, I am of a former generation, and every generation comes with expectation, and every generation offers certain things, new phase of life. Your generation has been called the millennials, is the generation Y. Sometimes we are so much detached. You are the digital generation. You are the media generation. Do you sometimes feel like we are detached, like we live in a two world? When you look at your parents' generations and the generation X before you and all that, what is it that you like us to know about your generation? It looks so oblivious. It's like we are just in denial that you guys are here. Like in Kenya, we have the majority of our population are under 35. So what is it that you like us to know about you guys?
Oh, wow. There's a lot.
I imagine, yes.
But I feel as if it is quite, it's much harder for my generation to get through life than your generation.
You think so?
Definitely.
Huh.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like we definitely have all those common things
Right.
that we all want in life. We all want to be successful,
Yes.
we want to be well balanced,
Right.
and family and all of that. But we have the challenges of just being in the world that we are in now, where media is constantly looking at what you do, and just globalization has just gone to another level.
Yes.
And you have essentially more eyes on you. There's a bigger pressure on you. So as much as we do want the same core things,
Right.
I feel as if it's harder to do it now in this time and age.
Wow.
And there's just so many challenges, and it's very competitive as well.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow. So you think life is getting more complex?
Yes, I mean, like, it's not enough to just, let's say if you want to start your career, want to get a good job first, it's not enough to just have your undergraduate degree. A master's is becoming something that everyone has. It's
Right.
getting harder to stand out from the crowd,
Wow.
more so now than I feel as it was.
So you guys
before.
you think you guys go through more emotions than we did, and there's a lot of stress
Yes, and I think,
as opposed in our generations.
and because of that, I feel like there are a lot more mental diseases, should I
Oh, yeah,
say,
of course.
that come about, especially in my generation. A lot,
Right.
and more people going through depression and anxiety.
Yes.
And fortunately, those things aren't really spoken of, I feel, in Kenya and in Africa as a
And
whole.
maybe we don't even know how to handle them.
And I feel as if it's your generation that tends to sort of just push those things away,
Away.
you know? Like, what do you mean mental illness?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
depressed. Get up and go. What are you depressed about?
Yeah, we survive it nowadays, and
Yeah.
we think that you guys are just whining, and but so that we don't understand you, that you guys have a lot in your hand than we did.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
So what would you like us to do? Want to understand you, right? To be patient with you?
And just be supportive, if
Be supportive.
anything. Yeah.
How do we do that? By understanding, maybe
Yes.
to listen, because we don't
And
listen.
definitely to listen.
It's a lesson.
Definitely to listen.
Wow.
Because that's what, it's just the core things of communication. And
Yes.
once there's no communication, it obviously breaks down. So just
Right.
simple communication, respect the fact that someone feels that way,
Right.
and listen to them, and you know, not just feel as if your opinion is right and you just talk over them.
Hmm.
Whereas I feel like before, you know, your generation, you listen to your parents, whatever your parents say, it goes.
Right,
But
right.
this day and age, I mean, our generation, with the way it's been exposed,
Mm.
and I feel the way we're being taught, you know, we're being encouraged to basically give our opinion and speak up. So when we do, we shouldn't be shunned by it, by our parents. It should
Yes.
be embraced. And
We should let you go.
Yeah.
Do you in their if you're in your parents' shoe or in our shoe, do you sometimes sympathize with us that we don't understand what you're going through, and maybe also you being patient with us because this is a new world? I know you're slow to learn, but would you appreciate that we even don't know what this is and sympathize with us to the point of praying for us, but also be patient and say, you have no clue what we are going through. And instead of thinking that we are the enemy, just take us like an informed generation, because we still love you because we
Yeah.
are kids, but be patient with us because we don't know.
I think, like I said, the communication is very important, and
Yes.
it goes both ways. I mean, I do understand that there's some things that I find to be normal, or I don't see a problem with that. My parents are like, it's not right, you know.
Right.
And I do understand that, and you know, there's some times where I'll back down just for the sake of
Yes.
that's how my parents have grown up. They believe that, and it's important to them. So I compromise.
Beautiful. That's it. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? You millennial out there, it is good to compromise. But let me ask you, do you see something in your parents' generation that you admire and you wish that was prevalent in your millennial generation? Is there something from the old that is good?
There is. I think just the way people worked together,
Okay.
the unity. I feel like there's a tendency in this day and age for people to backstab one another.
Oh yeah.
Whereas then I feel there was definitely more respect
Okay.
between people,
Yes.
and that's something that seems
And
to
the communal life.
just
and the
communal
sharing
life,
and all that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
men had more respect for women, as much as the gender roles were more defined then.
Right.
I feel as if there was respect.
Now you're talking about gender role. Do you think that this is the woman moment? Are you increasingly finding that in the world,
Yeah,
the women moment?
I mean,
Like in Great Britain, you have a prime minister who is a woman, right?
yes.
How do they take that? How was the electioneering? Were people excited? Do you think there are men who voted for the British
I mean,
prime minister?
They didn't necessarily have an election to elect her,
They didn't.
but I mean, it wasn't as if just because she came, people were like, oh, she should be removed because she's a woman. People no longer have that view. And with the rise of feminism, I feel as if that's definitely brought attention to the value that women have.
Is it true that women are their worst enemies?
Yeah, that's true as well.
That's true.
I
Yes, it's got
agree.
that. Why is that?
This is what I'm saying, the backstabbing of this day and age. I feel as if, I don't know, I personally, I cannot relate, but it certainly
It's
is
just
there.
like they're coming from this male-dominated. Like we can. By the way, I'll tell you this: if you stood for a president, I'll campaign for you.
Thank you.
I would definitely love, because I believe God has gifted us equally.
Yeah,
But,
I
yeah.
agree. But with the competition element, I feel like there's this feminist,
Yes.
Chidamanda. I don't know if you heard of her.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like the competition element has been brought about by also men, you know.
Yes.
Women are always put up against each other by the media as well.
Or the media.
There's so many forums that compare women, you know,
Yes.
women not only in the workplace but objectified as
Right.
sexual beings and not
Yes.
as humans. That's
Yes.
something that has always been there.
Yes.
And I feel as if the world isn't ready to let go of that image
Oh,
of
no.
women.
I concur with you, and I can't wait to see you in the future in this forum to see what you become. I can almost sense the potential in you, and those watching this documentary, I'm sure they'll look for Dorcas to want to know what is in her heart. And I keep repeating, I'm so proud to hear of Millennial, so proud about being African, and Kenya for that matter. Uh, very soon, you're starting a show, if you may. You're going to be hosting a documentary trying to tap on the potential of young people across the globe. What is the name of that? The title of that show that you're going to be hosting soon?
I think
You said a quarter what?
a quarter life crisis. It's going to be sort of centered
Yes.
among that because I feel as if
Is it a crisis?
it is, especially for people in their early 20s
Okay.
or in their 20s in
Right.
general.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, at this age, you're expected to essentially lay down the foundation for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know, you're essentially expected to know exactly what you want to do. You go to university,
Right.
pursuing, a degree in an area that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life in, and
Right.
really at that young age, at 18 or 19, when you're making that decision of what to
Right.
study, you don't really know yourself.
No.
So when you start the degree and end the degree, you're two different people.
Exactly.
So you're conflicted, not
And
in just
especially when
that,
you're even
yeah.
studying, sometimes I hear there are some of you that are not pursuing certain goals because it's your passion, but you're doing it because the system dictates, or even your parents.
Definitely.
So that you are like, is it about me, or is it them?
Yeah.
So like you, I'm sure you're pursuing your dreams, and your parents and friends are with you. Are there young people out there in a conflict, in a crisis where they are yet to know their identity, they are yet to discover themselves, to have a path of their life, and how do you sympathize with them?
I mean, definitely. Initially, I feel like a lot of people go into a degree because it seems like that's where they'll make money. That's
Or
what
job
their
market,
parents.
that's what them.
Yeah, and so, even at one point, maybe they'll convince themselves that that's really their passion.
Right.
But at one point, you can't lie to yourself. You
Exactly.
weren't created that way. God intended you to do something else, and
Right.
you can't fight what you're created to do.
Yes.
Some things just won't be natural as much as you try to fight it and force it. So
Right.
a lot of people, I feel, these days are not, or rather my generation, are not afraid to speak out anymore as they were
Yes.
previously. So I feel as if a lot of people are just, they're tired. You can only
Yes.
pretend for so long.
You can only pretend for so long. You need to speak up. You need to vent. Let people know who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great honor to have Dorcas with us in this program. She has enlightened us a lot about what's going on with the young people. And there is a great potential in this young lady. Dorcas, I want you to give the last words, look direct to this camera, encourage a young man, a young woman right there on the camera. You've been fortunate to live in the two world. You've been exposed, but you've also have to go through tribulations like we've talked about the terrorists. What message would you give to a young person watching who is at crossroad and would like to have a word of hope from a fellow millennial, if you may, as a closing remark?
Thank you. I'd say the first thing is to just take your time. I feel like this world rushes people to do a lot of things, attain a degree by a certain age. There's a structure essentially laid out for you by society. And we're not all the same, so you do not have to do exactly what everyone else has done. So take time to find out who you are, what you want to do, and also trust God and His plan for you, and just go with the flow. Do not stress, it's not the end of the world. Just take your time, you're still young.
It is not the end of the road, ladies and gentlemen. She put it so well. And remember her song, moments of weakness, just a moment. Don't run other people's race. Be yourself, as Dorcas reminds us. Once again, thank you, Dorcas. It has
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure
Thank you for having
to
me.
have you here in this documentary.
Thank
And
you.
best of luck.